Hello to you. My name is Jakub Kądzielska and this is Poland Daily Culture. And we asking a question today. Is it possible to learn perfectly English language here in Warsaw in Poland? And this question is to our guest, Jakub Kądzielski, a graduate of English Studies of University of Warsaw. Thank you very much for coming.
Hi, thank you for having me.
We talked a little bit in a previous episode what is the general idea of the English studies at Warsaw University. But and also my question is, what fascinated you the most? And what was an element which actually lets you swim through it, or really grips you in when it comes to English studies?
All right. So I guess in my case it was the English theater and in general the English school of acting. To put it simply, it was Shakespeare. I entered the English department because I wanted to know more about Shakespeare, because I had aspirations to be an actor, and I wanted to play Shakespeare, to act Shakespeare. It has brought me in partly, it has given me exactly that, but also it has shown me this, great world of English culture beyond Shakespeare.
Well, so you discovered there's something more there.
Yeah, I mean, you could forget that because he's such a big figure in the English language. He's some called him, the best playwright in English history. But at the same time, of course, you have to remember that, when he created, it wasn't so as today. You didn't have an original idea, which you put down to paper, and then it will be produced. But you kind of existed in this milieu of theater when you steal a little bit from that person. You saw a great play, so you decided to put it in your play. Maybe you take something from, I don't know, Plutarch and from his histories, and you put it in your play. And suddenly you have your own play. So he existed within, a broader perspective, which is also nice to learn about.
Yeah, the fact that not everything was super original when it comes to Shakespeare.
Definitely not. I mean, so much of his works are, in today's terms, it would be blatant plagiarisms. He would get copy striked immediately on YouTube.
Poor Shakespeare, blocked.
Oh no! Oh yeah, he would be blocked totally for borrowing.
But usually he just took stories which were told before, but he told them better.
Yes, definitely. I mean, he created his mastery of language, his innovations. He created so many new words that we don't really attribute to. I mean, we attribute to him, but we forgot that he created them. For example, elbow was his invention. And when you take the original text from which he created, usually some sort of, I don't know, for example, Holinshed's Chronicles, you see the historical text, and then you see Shakespeare's version. A lot of the times he takes the situation, basically as it was shown in the history, but his way of telling it, it's amazing. It's profound. It's the way he played with language. It's incredible. So to answer your question, go back to your question, yes, this was what interested me the most in English, and actually I went in this direction because we staged a lot of Shakespearean plays during my studying, yeah.
But studying English language in Poland sometimes can be a challenge, or maybe a little bit disappointing, with the fact that a lot of the professors, especially those who are older age, usually have very heavy Slavic accents, which can be even when they speak correctly when it comes to grammar and of course with rich vocabulary, then you kind of gobsmacked with the fact that but they're speaking actually with very heavy accents. So what is it a little bit changing? That's the one thing, and the other thing is how to overcome it.
Of course, it is a problem, and it is changing because, younger generations are sort of immersed in English language. We listen to English songs, we read English news, we watch Netflix and, other English movies all the time. And the older generations, our revered professors, they didn't have that access to English language. So, of course, they could read it, but how often could they actually, talk to a native speaker? this is something that today, you have friends from abroad, you make a call, and you can
or you
talk.
fly.
Or you fly, yeah, and you can talk to an actual person. And to answer your second part, this is the recipe. If you want to speak fluently, if you want to, especially master that pronunciation, you need to listen and speak as much as you can. Because that's of course you can read it, you can learn about different, how it works, you can learn about the technicalities, and this is what they teach you at the English department. But if you want to actually be able to speak it, you need to talk, and you need to listen.
And of course to listen to native speakers hugely.
Yes.
So that's the element. And when it comes to kind of connections between Polish culture and English culture, which is an advantage of learning things here under the Vistula, is it the element which, for example, fascinated you about translations, or any translator, for example, of Shakespeare, who stays in your mind?
The primary feat of learning English here in Poland is that you sort of make this bridge from Poland to the Anglo-Saxon world, whether it's Great Britain, it's USA, it's Australia, New Zealand, and the rest of the world. Is that you kind of see the English language through the Polish lens, sometimes myopic, sometimes not, but definitely it's a two-way way of understanding this language. So when it comes to translating Shakespeare, because there are some classical translations of English language, but one of the modern ones, they kind of revisit the classical translations each and every time, and I think it's necessary. So if you have a chance to see, to juxtapose the, let's say, classical translations with something more modern, it's always a nice trip to see, how it has changed and what has been updated. If you're into Shakespeare, I really recommend that.
We put a point here, and if you are English speakers, but also Polish speakers, then this is a huge advantage. You can see the differences, especially in translations, and answer or ask yourself a question, how would you do it? And of course, we very strongly encourage you to dig in and to learn more about English language. And if you have this opportunity to choose the English studies at Warsaw University, now you know all advantages and disadvantages of this choice. And thank you very much for watching our show.